India would be very happy with 4 wickets. Are they back in it?
Absolutely, big improvement, obviously. It's nothing new. But what you can say from the situation now and what was transpiring yesterday and the potential that was there for today, it's damage control. When you look at the whole innings, 420 runs is a lot of runs. But now, again, I'm not able to understand this pitch. When India bats on it, how does India find the surface against the kind of bowlers Australia have? So this is something that is somewhat expected with this Indian team, with the kind of quality they have in the seam department. I know some of the other big guns are missing. There's no Jasprit Bumrah there. But we said at the start of the show as well, this bowling attack of India will keep bringing India back in the game. Finally, it comes down to how India bats. Now, 420, much better than, say, 420 for 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So that brings India back in. If they bat well, then we have a game on our hands.
Interesting, because we felt that if India are to strike, they'd need similar sort of conditions as they had yesterday. Brad Haddin in the first session. There could be some overhead conditions that would help, but it was bright and sunny. Steve Smith got him off to just the start that Australia would have wanted, got his 100 quickly, and it was ominous. It felt like they could get as many as they want. So how do you explain those 4 wickets in that session? What changed?
Yeah, I think what changed today was the aggressive mindset of the Indian, not only the Indian bowlers, but also their fielders. We've seen one run out, which is a cardinal sin in any form of the game, but especially Test cricket. But what they did today, they challenged the top off stump a lot more, the Indian bowlers. Yesterday, they only bowled 9% of their balls at the stumps. Today, they challenged their stump. They used their bouncer as an aggressive tool today as well to make batsmen uncomfortable at the crease and get them second guessing. And then they got the rewards with the fuller ball. So it was really well bowled today from India, but it was a big mindset change in how aggressive they were with the ball.
Even though Steve Smith was dismissed differently, there was 2 mid-wickets for him. They went with a plan to Travis Head. Now, does that tell us there's been a lot of reviewing and analysing yesterday evening, and that makes us wonder why India weren't as thorough with their plans yesterday? How do you see how they've
that
reacted?
Could be something they would look at as maybe a mistake that happened, an error, and I hope it doesn't cost them too much, because the way they started off this morning, you saw Mohammad Siraj especially have a combination of getting that ball up there full and also a lot of short balls to Travis Head. In the end, the short ball worked. Now, that should have been something they could have done the moment Travis Head came in. I can understand trying to use the pitch, but that's a bouncer has to be an integral part of your line of attack and your basic thought as a seam bowler, which came into play today. So I thought India did well, but maybe a bit too late, because 400 runs are already on the board. But I expected India to actually come and be a little defensive because of the amount of runs that were put on there. But credit to them. They came in still searching for wickets, and they got a few.
Yeah, I wonder what you made of the first over of the day, Brad, because you thought 2 half volleys went to Steve Smith, and that's it now. That India seemed flat, and that's how they've started. It's hot, it's sunny, and suddenly he pulls away for the Spidey cam. Siraj throws the ball at him. The two get into something. Was that fanning a fire that wasn't there? After that, it looked like Siraj woke up.
Yeah, well, what it looked like is Siraj got into the contest. And we've seen, since he's come into this form of the game, when he's in the contest, that's when he bowls at his best. He's an aggressive fast bowler. He looks to get wickets. But the one thing he also likes to do, he likes to get under the skin of opposition batsmen and get himself into a contest. So we've seen that after the 4th ball. A little bit of push and shove went on there, and it just sort of woken Siraj up, and all of a sudden he's back in the game. He was a little bit quicker on the radar gun then, and he wanted to get Steve Smith out. It was personal there, and that's when we've seen the best of the Indian bowlers off the back of that.
As an authority on the subject, Brad, what does it take to get under the skin of the opposition?
The cheeky runner.
I'll have a stab in the dark of that. I wasn't much for that. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a reaction out of the opposition. You're trying to get them to do something that they don't want to do. And Steve Smith there, he got out of his bubble a little bit. We heard a lot on commentary about Steve Smith's in his bubble. Sanjay spoke a lot about it, that Steve Smith's in his bubble. He doesn't really know what else is going on in the game. He's controlling his own emotions and the way he wants to play. But once that little confrontation happened, all of a sudden there was a a little sniff at the other end. The Indian fielders, they lifted off the back of that as well. And the mindset of the whole game started to change.
There's something that I've seen with Mohammad Siraj. This may have been a genuine one where he got a little upset. I mean, this is a guy, when you do interviews with him, you see how simple he is. He's a very simple guy, very eager to perform, but then the white line fever that people talk about. I've seen him use this as a tactic as well, famously against Liton Das in Bangladesh, where, he started off batting superbly and it was deliberate. I mean, there was no reason for Mohammad Siraj to go on the follow through and say a few things to him. That was tactical. Now, these things are very good if the emotions don't get the better of you as a bowler. And that was tactical. Today may have been a genuine kind of, he was upset. But it's great to see that that actually makes him a better bowler. And now he's starting to use that as another way or an option to just create inroads. So this is the growth of Mohammad Siraj, and it's lovely to see. Yeah,
got the wicket of Travis Head. That was the big one. So what happened there? We thought Travis Head was improving playing the short ball, but has he eventually just got a good one?
So it was interesting, actually. There's a short ball issue that we've been talking about. And now there are different ways that batters conquer it. There's the defensive way, and we saw Cameron Green when he came into bat, he ducked under a bouncer. And people do that. Some try to just fend off. Steve Waugh famously would just drop his gloves and take everything on the body. This was a guy, modern day attacking batter, who clearly is a little vulnerable against short ball, but he scored a lot of the short balls as well. And every time he was hitting the ball, he was trying to keep the ball down. But it is something that bowlers will try, because it gets him to play shots that can also get him out. And eventually that happened in the way he got out, caught behind. So I thought a good ploy that bowlers from all over the world will keep trying. But it was interesting that in between the discomfort, there was some great, I mean, if you look at the highlights packages, you see some great pull shots being played. Right, you would think is a guy who is extremely good against the short ball.
Yeah, we saw him get a lot of boundaries, Brad, and we also saw him use the short ball with that little, the guide over the slips and play the ramp shot. But would you still say the jury's out on Travis Head against the short ball?
No, I think if you have a really close look at the way India used the short ball to him, you have to be your attention detail has to be spot on. If your short balls gives him any width, he'll go up over slips, or he'll freeze arms up and go up over backward point. But it's really important to get the short ball at his front shoulder. If they get it at his front shoulder and or underneath his arm, that's when he found a bit of life was a bit uncomfortable for him, and that did change his game. And he looked like then he was vulnerable at stages. But it's that attention to detail when you're bowling your short ball. You've got to say, you know what, I'm going to bowl the short ball to hit him in the shoulder. If I'm going to give him any width, that's where Travis Head game comes into play there, because he does like width. So it's the attention to detail with the Indian fast bowlers that made the difference today.
I'd like to put the combined experience of watching and playing the game at the highest level of Brad Haddin and Sanjay Manjrekar to answer the very simple question of how Shardul Thakur has knocked over Steve Smith today. Who'd like to go first?
I thought it was a better ball than the one that got David Warner down the leg side. So that's all I'll say.
That's a start.
Yeah. But it wasn't that bad a delivery. I mean, just outside off stump on length. The one that got David Warner was, I think he was very lucky with that. This one, you think different, right? I can see in your eyes that.
No, with due respect, it seems innocuous. And I must say, we can't keep saying he gets lucky with wickets. He has an ability here. I'm trying to understand the ability, because it looks like Steve Smith is immune to error, and he's played many better balls than that.
I'll just make one comment, and Brad would be the right one to extend on this point. Steve Smith, amongst all the other things that he has, he's also a lot of hand-eye coordination kind of batter who uses his hands a lot to get in the right area to hit the ball. So on this occasion, maybe that just let him down.
100%. His quirky ways still finds him with a great test career and not getting out. He doesn't get out to a Jaffa from Umesh Yadav, would be thinking, what more do I need to do? But he gets out to that ball. Brad, in all seriousness?
Yeah, I think he got done with lack of pace and the length. I thought he played, he just got his hands a little bit too far away from his body, got caught on the crease a bit, thinking the ball was going to swing, and just held its line a bit. Steve Smith chopped the ball on. But they're ones, if you look at the over before, Alex Carey did exactly the same thing and it missed the stumps. Those ones can just be pot luck. They sometimes can just have your name on it. But I think it was the length that did Steve Smith. And Shardul, he bowled that consistent length most of the day yesterday. He got the ball nice and full, allowed the ball to move off the string if there was something there. So we've got to give him more credit because he continues to get big wickets. And Steve Smith was set. He was on 121. He was in total control of the game.
जिस पे नाम सिर्फ एक का हो
लेकिन हो पूरे देश के नाम,
उस चीज को हाउ डू आई डिस्क्राइब इट इस जर्सी के लिए मेरे फीलिंग समझाना इम्पॉसिबल है
पर इसे पहन के
I feel just one thing, impossible
इज नथिंग